In every courtroom, justice is supposed to be but in one forgotten town, tucked behind cornfields and courtroom steps, a stern, unmoving face, with eyes that saw everything. This is not just the story of a judge. It is the unraveling of a man who held the law in one hand and something unspeakable in the other. This is the story of Judge Fairbanks. From the producer of the most compelling podcasts comes a new series. Each week we bring you new tales of mystery, suspense, and the unknown. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Chapter 1. The Man Who Never Smiled. Judge Thomas O'Leary Fairbanks, a name spoken with respect and whispered with fear. He served the bench for 34 years in the town of Eastbriar, Illinois, a place where nothing made headlines and everyone kept to themselves. Fairbanks was known for his icy stare, a voice like gravel, and a meticulous obsession with order. They say he never missed a day of work, never showed emotion, and never, ever smiled in court, not even once. When asked about this peculiarity, he once remarked, "A judge should be like Caesar's wife, above such vanities," but some saw in his words a different meaning. When Fairbanks sentenced a young boy to a year in reform school for stealing a loaf of bread, he supposedly said, "Let this be a lesson. The state frowns upon free bread. You have been judged. Now go." His colleagues praised his intellect, his understanding of the law, but admitted that his chambers felt like a tomb. His clerks spoke in hushed tones, refusing to discuss the man they called the Stone Judge. Fairbanks lived alone in a mansion on the edge of town. No trespassers, signs nailed to every tree. Rumors claimed he kept company only with books, antiques, and his cats. It was said he never married, never touched alcohol, and never allowed anyone to enter his home. He drove a nondescript car and dined alone at small cafes. Those few times he was photographed, Fairbanks looked straight ahead, his face hidden behind the lenses. So despite being the most recognizable face in town, almost nothing was known about him. And then there were the files. From 1986 to 1997, 7 individuals involved in trials overseen by Judge Fairbanks vanished without a trace. No notes, no goodbyes, no suspects. All of them had one thing in common. They had either challenged the judge or walked free when he believed they shouldn't. Among them was Jason Mallory, a 23-year-old accused of burglary, cleared due to lack of evidence. 2 weeks later, gone. Lisa Cordell, a mother of 2, disappeared after her embezzlement trial was delayed. The judge had reportedly called her a liar in sheep's clothing. She was last seen walking out of the courthouse, crying. The third was Gregory Banks, a local sheriff who sued Fairbanks for slander after the judge implied he was corrupt. The lawsuit was dismissed. The next day, Banks withdrew $50,000 from his bank account and disappeared. None of these people left behind any forwarding addresses or phone numbers. No calls to loved ones, no letters, no apologies. It was as if they'd planned to vanish, or perhaps someone had convinced them to. For their families, the sudden disappearances brought grief and distrust. For the police, the cases remained cold mysteries. And for Fairbanks, the rumors grew louder. People started speaking in hushed voices. Was he involved somehow? Was he orchestrating the disappearances? Then came the whispers of satanic rituals, of hidden chambers and buried secrets. Some said he lured his victims into secret rooms, while others claimed he trafficked them out of state. Still, no one could say for sure. No one knew what secrets lurked behind those stone walls, but everyone was afraid to find out. And so the judge continued his work, dispensing justice, crushing appeals, and erasing names. No one dared question him. No one dared challenge him. And through it all, Fairbanks neither confirmed nor denied the allegations. He simply kept his distance, ruling from behind his books and antiques, keeping his secrets safe in the mansion on the hill. But some things are best left undiscovered, and soon, one man's curiosity would open a door that should have stayed shut forever. Chapter 2. Vanished without a trace. He was an enigma to the townspeople, yet his actions held weight, his decisions, finality. They say the scales of justice are blind, but in Eastbriar, they saw clearly the shadow of the law. Now listen closely to these words. They're important. In the heart of the Midwest, where cornfields stretch as far as the eye can see, nestled between rolling hills and whispering trees, lies a town seemingly untouched by time. Its streets are straight, its houses neat, its people reserved. This is Eastbriar, Illinois, a place where life moves slowly, secrets lie dormant, and the past refuses to stay buried. It's here that Thomas Fairbanks built his life, or perhaps more accurately, concealed it. He arrived in the 1970s, a young lawyer eager to make a mark. Within a decade, he was elevated to the bench. Some say it was his intellect, his unwavering adherence to the law. Others, less charitably inclined, claimed it was his connections, his ability to keep secrets buried. Whatever the truth, Fairbanks ascended, becoming the presiding judge of the local court. His courtroom was a place of order, of strict adherence to protocol. He ran it like a ship, demanding precision, punctuality, and silence. To appear before him was to step into a world of rigid rules and unspoken expectations. There was no room for mistakes, for deviation or disrespect. Fairbanks expected no, demanded compliance. The law was his Bible, his gavel, the instrument of its enforcement. He wielded both with equal authority. Yet as the years passed, a disquieting pattern emerged. Cases that seemed straightforward turned complex. Trials that should have proceeded smoothly hit dead ends. Verdicts that appeared just short of unanimous hung in the balance. People began to notice, whispering in the aisles of the supermarket, exchanging uneasy glances at the town square. Something wasn't right, they said. The judge was too involved, too invested in certain cases. His decisions, they argued, were swayed by unseen forces, but concrete evidence remained elusive. Speculation grew, but accusations lacked substance. Fairbanks stood firm, his gaze steady, his demeanor He brushed aside the murmurs, the doubts, the suspicions. He was the judge, he believed, and no one could question his judgment. His supporters praised his tenacity, his commitment to the law. His detractors seethed, their distrust festering into resentment. But Fairbanks remained impervious. He continued to preside over cases, to dispense justice, or so he believed. Oblivious to the storm that brewed beneath the surface, he was the judge, after all, blind to the whispers, deaf to the doubts, his eyes fixed solely on the law. Or perhaps he saw more than anyone else, his gaze piercing through facades, dissecting motives, seeing the darkness that lurked beneath the veneer of respectability. Whatever the truth, he acted, making decisions that shook the town to its core. People started disappearing, vanishing without a trace. Families were torn, futures uncertain, lives a pet. Fear took root, growing like a weed, choking the town's tranquility. The idyllic facade cracked, revealing the raw nerves of suspicion and dread. Fairbanks, the silent arbiter, watched it all from his perch, his expression unreadable, his motives unclear. He was the judge, the dispenser of justice, yet he became the subject of it himself. His every move scrutinized, his every decision questioned, his every action dissected. The scales of justice, once balanced on his watch, tipped precariously, threatening to tip entirely. Fairbanks, the man who held the scales in his hands, suddenly found himself caught in the balance. Chapter 3, The Hidden Room. The years rolled by like fallen leaves, each season bringing its own hues of change. But in the grand narrative of East, one event stood out like a jagged shard of glass, shattering the illusion of permanence. The year was 2003. The autumn leaves had painted the landscape in fiery hues of crimson and gold. The air was crisp, carrying the scent of wood smoke and decaying leaves. It was a picturesque setting, a backdrop for a quaint tale, but fate had a different script in mind. On a blustery October evening, Fairbanks was found dead in his study, a half-empty glass of whiskey on his desk, a book lying open beside him. The cause, a heart attack, swift and silent, ending a life as abruptly as it began, leaving behind a legacy shrouded in secrecy. His death certificate bore the signature of Dr. Richard Hayes, the town coroner, a man as stoic and reliable as the granite on his tombstone. But beneath the official seal of approval, whispers persisted, doubts lingered, and the townspeople of East Briar sought answers. They crowded the courtroom, their faces etched with a mixture of morbid curiosity and quiet apprehension. The imposing figure of Fairbanks was absent, replaced by a draped coffin in the center of the room. The solemnity of the occasion was palpable, but it did little to quell the rumors that swirled like autumn leaves in a windstorm. The ceremony was brief, devoid of the usual platitudes and eulogies. Instead, the attendees stood silently as Fairbanks's coffin was lowered into the grave. Afterwards, they dispersed quietly, each carrying their own interpretations of the events that transpired. For many, Fairbanks's death brought closure, a definitive end to a tumultuous chapter in their lives. The whispers subsided, replaced by the rustling of fallen leaves and the murmur of daily routines. Life in East Briar seemed to return to normal, or so it appeared. In reality, the true nature of Fairbanks's demise remained hidden, buried beneath layers of deceit and shrouded in the shadows of his enigmatic past. Little did they know that the secrets he held close were far from laid to rest. Buried alongside Fairbanks in the secluded cemetery on the outskirts of town was only half the story. The remaining chapters lay dormant in the very house he had inhabited. Months after his funeral, the property was sold, purchased by a young couple eager to start their lives anew. David and Emily Carter were picture-perfect Americana, a husband and wife team ready to renovate and resell the stately old house. They saw potential in its peeling paint and overgrown garden, dreaming of transforming it into a modern masterpiece. What they didn't know, however, was that they were buying more than bricks and mortar. They were purchasing a portal to a world they couldn't comprehend, a realm where darkness intertwined with the fabric of reality. As the renovation commenced, the Carters unwittingly began to peel back the layers of Fairbanks's existence, uncovering secrets so disturbing they threatened to consume them. Their renovation project soon became a journey into the abyss, each room they uncovered revealing a new layer of unsettling revelations. And it all started with a simple trapdoor. Chapter 4. The symbol. Amidst the chaos of renovations, Emily stumbled upon a peculiar anomaly in the study where Fairbanks had breathed his last. Tucked away in a corner, almost invisible to the untrained eye, was a Intrigued, she knelt beside it, tracing the intricate patterns of wood grain. As her fingers danced across its surface, she felt a peculiar energy beneath the floorboards. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, yet it sent a shiver down her spine. David Aver, the pragmatist, suggested it might lead to a root cellar or an old storage area. But as Emily peered into its shadowy depths, she saw more than that. She saw a set of stairs, steep and narrow, descending into darkness. Curiosity piqued, she decided to descend, each step taking her deeper into the bowels of the house. The musty air grew colder, the flickering light of her flashlight revealing a small, sparsely furnished room. Books lined the shelves, each one meticulously organized. Files were stacked on a large desk, and a single chair stood in front of a blank wall. The room was silent, heavy with anticipation. In the center of the desk, Emily noticed a peculiar symbol, a circular design marred by 3 jagged lines, resembling a fractured mirror or a shattered window pane. It was subtle, almost easy to overlook, yet it commanded attention. As Emily traced its outline with her finger, she couldn't shake off the feeling that she was intruding on something deeply personal, something she wasn't meant to discover. This hidden chamber, this secret sanctuary, was more than just a storage space. It was an extension of Fairbanks's mind, a reflection of his thoughts and actions. Each item in that room, each book, each file, each drawing was a piece of a puzzle that Emily was ill-equipped to solve. Yet she couldn't.